Hello, my most amazing artist. Let's go ahead and dive right in. We've got so much stuff to do today and I'm really excited. Let's kick things off with our art class catchphrase. I make messes. I make mistakes. But deep inside, I got what it takes. I am an artist. Big shout out and a whole lot of love to Ticonderoga, one of our sponsors today. I'll be using their paper, which is my favorite, True Ray construction paper. Very beautiful, very bright, and doesn't fade and tear easily. I love the stuff. And if you're ever wondering what kind of white paper I'm using that's nice and thick, it's also made by Ticonderoga's brand. It's a brand called Paken. It's called Paken Mixed Media Paper, or you can even get their sketchbook. Their sketchbook is called You Create. Oh boy, speaking of You Create, you guys have been creating like crazy. Have you checked out Art to Remember yet? Art to Remember is an amazing place where you can upload all of your artwork for free, creating your own virtual art gallery. Then you can print all of your artwork on a multitude of beautiful things, from coffee cups to t-shirts and more. So be sure and check out Art to Remember. All right, here's what we're gonna need today. You'll need aluminum foil, just a sheet of it, some coins, some change, a plate for tracing, not a big dinner one, but a small one. You'll need scissors, glue, sketchbook paper or white paper, construction paper if you have it, and yes, something to make your puppets stand up with. Let me show you. We're creating this out of this world puppets and a stage for our puppets. Now, if you'll notice, the puppets are on a cardboard stick. But you know what? You don't have to use cardboard. A ruler, a pencil, or even a popsicle stick would work great. All right, friends, we've got a lot of work to do, so make sure to get that pinky out so we can do our pinky promise. I pinky promise to do my very best, to finish what I start, and keep a positive attitude. Mwah. All right, guys, let's get started. All right, friends, to begin our puppets that we're going to be creating today that will be going around the stage that is our moon, let's first begin by creating our moon. For that, you'll need a sheet of aluminum foil, a plate, and some coins. So I'm gonna move this guy out of the way. I happen to have my supplies right here. I've got a plate that's not too big. It's a smaller kind of plate, and I have a sheet of aluminum foil. I'm gonna go ahead and set this right here, but I do have a crease right there. You can always flatten or straighten it out a little bit before you set your plate down, and then we're going to trace. I'm tracing around my plate with a marker. You could use a pencil. You could use a permanent marker like me. It's up to you. Once you've got that trace, we're going to go ahead and cut this circle out. Cutting foil can be a little bit tricky. It cuts very, very easily, but it also tears easily. So we have to be kind of careful. Just go a little slower than normal. And it's a little noisy too. Once you're done cutting, don't throw away or crumble up your foil yet. There's still a lot here that we can do things with. So just go ahead and set it aside. And now we're going to use our coins. Hopefully you have a variety of coins, and the reason we want a variety is because we want a bunch of different sizes. Take some of your coins and just place them underneath where you're going to set your moon. And then I'm going to use my fingers to trace the outline of the coin. So I can just press my paper down and already I can see them popping up. This is going to create the texture or the craters of the moon. Now I'm only using the tip of my finger. I'm not using my fingernail. If I use my fingernail, I might accidentally scratch into and tear the foil. If I tear the foil a little bit, it's okay. Try flipping your foil over and doing the same thing on this side. What you're doing right now is debossing and embossing. Debossing means that you are denting things in, Embossing means you're making things pop out. Let's see if we can see that on our moon. We have some craters that appear to be debossed or dented in, and then we have some craters that appear to be embossed or popping out. Look for empty places where you could add more craters, and if you notice, I'm only doing this to the top half of the moon. I'm only doing that to the top half of the moon. If you want to do the whole moon, you can, but for our artwork, we're only going to be able to really see the top half. My moon is getting a little bit wrinkly, and that's perfect because I'm trying to show all of the different textures of the moon. Okay, when you feel like you're finished with your moon, go ahead, grab your construction paper, and let's start to assemble. With your piece of paper going horizontally, go ahead and fold it in half like a card. Getting both ends matched up really well, hold it still with one hand and smooth out your bump. Once you've got that finished, what we're going to do next is grab that plate again. And this time I'm gonna flip it over like we did. This is the middle, if I place it in the middle, but I want my moon to be near the bottom. So I'm gonna go ahead and scoot it down. This is, I think, about as much moon as I want to show. Notice I have half of my plate on my paper, half of it off. Now, I'm not going to trace the plate. I'm just going to draw a line that's a little bit above the plate, copying the plate. I'll show you, it's a parallel line. So it's a little bit above the plate, and it's copying the curve of the plate, and I think I'll go about halfway and stop. Now, keeping my paper folded, making sure that I'm about to cut on my fold, I will cut this out. This is going to create a slot or an opening for our puppets to go through. All right, now that we've got that cut, go ahead and open it up. Now we can add our moon, and you'll notice that when I place it on my paper, I have a little bit hanging off. That's perfect. I don't think you can see this, but I can. I'm leaving a little gap between my moon and that opening that I created. Now, keeping in mind that I only need to put glue on the moon where it's touching the paper, I'm gonna flip it over and only add glue where the moon was touching the paper. All right, so I'm gonna draw a little line of glue if my glue bottle will cooperate. There we go. A little bit of glue. Notice I'm only putting it around the edges. You don't need a lot, just a dot. Keep in mind that you need to leave a little space. Where is that? Oh, there it is. There we go. And then when you smooth it down, you might want to be kind of gentle because you don't want to accidentally squish your craters of your moon flat. If there's any place where you didn't get glue, just go ahead, peel it back and glue it down. All right, I'm giving it a little gentle massage. This part of the paper, I'm going to go ahead and tuck it underneath this, and I can do that easily by flipping this over and bending it back. If you want to add glue, you can. For me, I'm just gonna leave it like that. Now, I'm going to start to work on this background right here. I want this to maybe look a little bit more like a solar system. You could use your crayons, and you could grab some sidewalk chalk. And I'm gonna use my crayons in a couple of different ways. You know, my favorite way to add texture is to do a rubbing. You could even slide something underneath that paper if you wanted to get a really cool texture for your rubbing. You could just use your crayon as you normally do and add some cross-hatching lines, meaning you have lines going one way and then lines that cross over them and go the other way. It's up to you, but why don't you take a moment and start to decorate your construction paper just a little bit. You could add planets. You could get other pieces of construction paper and cut out other circles for planets. Totally up to you. You could think about other kinds of colors that you might want to add. You know, the other day when we were drawing our self-portraits, we talked about things we could add in the background like spirals. So what if I wanted to do a spiral that looked like a galaxy? I think we said we could do that by drawing an oval that goes around and around. A spiral is a circle that goes around and around, but to do your galaxy, you could try an oval. And overlapping them could be a lot of fun too. You could grab a yellow crayon, add some stars. You could even get other pieces of construction paper if you wanted to and make planets. So think of ways where you can really make this look more like a galaxy. Now that I'm kind of finished with my crayons, I think what I'm gonna do next is use some of that foil. Remember I said keep all of your aluminum foil because we can do things with it? Well, let's go ahead and cut out some little strips of foil so we can make some stars. Now, I'm not going to cut out a star shape. That would be a little too tricky. I'm just going to cut out some strips of foil, and then I'm going to take those little strips and then cut them into little squares. Those squares are what I'm going to glue down for my stars. However, I'm not gonna stop you if you wanna try something and go the extra mile. Maybe you wanna cut out some circle shapes for planets or other moons. It's up to you. When you glue these guys in place, it's just gonna take a tiny little dot of glue. You don't want all the glue to come out from behind the stars. So I'll show you. I've got my glue, put a little tiny dot. That was actually probably too much, and then set it down. Boop. I like to do this sometimes. Pick up the piece with my glue bottle. It'll grab that little glue sticking out and use that. When you're all finished adding your stars, if you have chalk, any kind of chalk, sidewalk chalk, chalk if you have a little chalkboard in your house will work too, or even artist chalk. If you have it, we can grab it and make our moon look a little bit more shiny. So I'm gonna finish gluing these down and then I'll grab my chalk. Okay, all my stars are in place. I'm just gonna grab a white piece and a yellow piece of chalk. Chalk is made out of pigment. Pigment's a fancy word for color, and all of that pigment or color is compressed into this little shape, this rectangular prism shape. When you color with chalk, you're releasing all of those little particles, and now those little particles, like little bits of dust, are just sitting on your paper. You can't really just let it sit on the paper because if you do, it's just going to smear everywhere. So to lock those little bits in place, use one finger, sweep back and forth, and finish pressing down those bits of chalk. So I'm gonna go ahead and maybe use yellow. This is helping my moon look a little bit more shiny and adding just a little bit more variety to my artwork. Okay, when you feel like you're finished with, maybe I can even add a couple of stars and more lines in the background. When you feel like you're finished with your chalk, then your moon stage is complete. When that's finished, go ahead, move it out of the way, and next step you'll need a piece of paper, pencil, crayons, and markers. Let's make these puppets. So begin with a piece of paper, and you're going to want to fold your paper in half. Hold it so with one hand, smooth down the bump. And then let's go ahead, rotate the paper, that means turn, and fold it in half again. Sometimes it helps me to put my other hand there to help the paper bend. Get it folded, and ta-da. Unfold your paper, and let me tell you why we folded our paper. The reason I had you fold this paper is because I want you to have 4 equal parts. You want to take a marker or a pencil and draw those lines so that you can see your 4 equal parts or 4 rectangles. Go for it. And I did that because that's about the size that we want our puppets to be, about the size of that rectangle. When we're finished drawing today, you're gonna have 2 extra rectangles. What other things can you draw to create your own puppets with? Let's begin with the rocket ship. So I'm gonna start by drawing the top of the ship and go ahead and put a little polka dot at the top middle of that rectangle. Now I'm gonna have my finger come down, but it doesn't go to the bottom. I'm gonna leave enough space for flames. And now I'm gonna put a little polka dot right there. That is this line. Now I'm gonna draw a line that goes across, but notice that it's just for the bottom of this rocket ship, so it didn't go from one edge to the other. Now I'm gonna start at the top dot and bring a line that curves out and then goes down. A line that curves out and then goes down. Okay. Why don't we add some windows You could add some people inside if you want to. That looks pretty good. Did you notice how I did 2 lines there to really make it have some depth? I didn't leave a lot of room for a face, so maybe I've got a happy little astronaut here and another, maybe this one's like, uh-oh, he's not really sure about what's going on outside. Okay, now go ahead and find the side of this rectangle, find the middle, go a little bit beyond the middle, meaning move your finger down, put a little polka dot next to your finger. If I'm going fast, just press the pause button. Now, put your finger on that dot and go straight across to the other side of your rectangle and put a polka dot there. Okay, now we're going to make an arch like a rainbow. But did you notice how my arch, like a rainbow, hopped over my spaceship? So I'm gonna go up, over, hop, over, down. Great! Okay, I'm gonna pull this line in a little bit. Whoop. Pull this line in a little bit. Whoop. And now I'm gonna bring it back up to that corner. Bring it back up to that corner. Now, if you want to, you could add your flames at the bottom. I'm just gonna add a little curve right there, and then maybe some lines here. And when I do my flames, I like to think of it as like a dancing zigzag. It goes this way, and it goes that way, and it wiggles around, and it comes back this way, and then it goes back up. And if you want to get extra fancy and add another little bit of flames in there, go for it. Hey, look at that! I can decorate my rocket ship to have more things to color. Did you save your foil? Because now we can add little shiny bits to here too. But before we work on that, let's work on our astronaut. Okay, so in this rectangle, I'm going to begin by drawing the astronaut's head. Actually, I take it back, his helmet, which is a nice big circle. I'm gonna start with a pretty good sized circle. Not too big, because I want to have enough room for the body. And notice that I put it near the top. There we go. Now maybe I can give my astronaut some headphones so he can talk to the guys in the rocket ship and people back on planet Earth. Add a screen, the little shield, so your astronaut can look out of the helmet. Then you can add your face. You could draw the face any way you want. My marker draws really big lines, so I'm just gonna keep my lines nice and simple. Boom, done. Now I'm gonna add my arms coming away and away. Again, if I go too fast, just hit the pause button. I'm gonna add a couple of fingers. Boop, boop, boop. He's a cartoon, so he doesn't have to have 5 fingers. And now I'm gonna go back. Whoop. He's an astronaut trying to give you a hug. Maybe I can add some decorations to the spacesuit. Add a little diagonal line here and one there for the feet. Curve out. Oh, I didn't leave myself a lot of room. That's okay. It can curve out a little bit. I'm gonna bring this line back for the bottom of the feet and then curve up and down. Perfect. Give him a little belt. And now it's time to color. If there's anything else you want to add, any other designs, do it now, friends, before you start to color. To cut these out, I'm just going to separate the bottom of the paper from the top and the left from the right. But again, you might want to save this extra paper because I know with your imagination, you'll come up with all sorts of other puppets that you can add. Especially if you watch one of my videos on how to draw an alien, you can even include an alien spaceship. When you cut slowly and carefully like you always do. And let's start brainstorming or think of some things that you can use for the handle of your puppet. Me, I used cardboard. You could also use large popsicle sticks. You could also tape these to a pencil. So anything that's a little bit long, a ruler would be awesome, that you could tape. You only want it to stay there for a little while, like on a pencil or a ruler. you might just want to tape it to the back because one of these days you might want to use that ruler for something other than a puppet show. So be thinking about what you can use, or you can use what I have, which is just cut strips of cardboard. Now, how about the shiny parts that you can add? Remember, you cut out all of that foil and I said don't crumple it up because we can now use all of that foil for any details that you want to add to your spaceship or your astronaut. Maybe you want to give him some shiny moon boots. Well, then you can trace the bottom of the feet onto the foil, cut it out, and add a boot. Maybe you want to add some little sparkly parts to your spaceship. I say go for it. Any way that you can recycle and reuse that aluminum foil would be great, and then add it to your paper stash. Okay, so I've got these guys cut out, and I could take my foil. Let's see, I think I'll cut out a couple of pieces for the suit. Maybe some of those smaller bits can go right there, the part that I had for my stars. And once you've got those, we can go ahead and assemble. If my glue will come out, there we go. We can start to assemble our puppets all together. I did want to show you how to go ahead and make a boot if you wanted to make one. So with your extra foil, you can trace your boots by tracing the bottom of the feet, just like that. Draw the top of the boot, cut them out, and glue them down. Pretty simple, right? I like foil because it's like having a great big piece of glitter, especially if you can cut it into smaller parts. So many different things you can do with it, and always hang on to it because you can recycle it later if you decide not to use it for something. There's also lots of ways where you can bend and shape foil using it almost like a piece of clay to create a sculpture. So if you have extra foil, what could you bend or shape it into? Could it be a little foil astronaut that you could make? Could you make little foil animals or creatures? I don't know, but I know for certain you'll come up with something. Okay, now I can just glue his boots onto his feet. Now that we're done with that, go ahead and grab whatever you're going to use for the handle of your puppet, and then we're going to have to attach that. I'm using a strip of cardboard. I'll be using 2 strips. I've got them right here. And I'm going to be attaching these guys onto my cardboard. But when I do, I need to think about where do I want them to go? Do I want my spaceship to be shooting straight up like on this one? Or do I want it to be tilted a little bit so when I do my puppet show, it can look like it's flying? I like this idea. I'm gonna put a little bit of glue on my cardboard. Go ahead and set that there, and you know that it helps to massage. And please notice that I made sure that the stick went up the back side of a lot of my drawing. I did that so that when I use it, my drawing doesn't flop and it doesn't become flimsy. So I glued it pretty far up. You could even decorate the bottom of the cardboard or your popsicle stick if you wanted to. He could be walking, but I like to have him tilting a little bit so to show that he's in an anti-gravity area. He's just kind of bouncing around on that moon. There we go. All right, now that my puppets are finished, I just realized I forgot to color his face, silly me. Now that my puppets are finished, let's grab our stage and put it all together. All right, I've got my stage. Let's go ahead and start assembling. I can slide this inside that slot that I first cut. So I'm gonna gently open it back up and slide it in. Uh-oh, it got caught on my foil. If yours gets caught on your foil, flip it over. That's probably why maybe I should glue my foil down. There we go. Problem solved. I got stuck on something, and instead of forcing it, I turned it around to see where it was getting stuck. All right, 3, 2, 1. Where's this guy? One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. He's missing his boot. Where did it go? Hey guys, wait for me. Sorry, dude, we're late for lunch. Oh man. Friends, I hope you had so much fun making your puppets. Now that you have that extra paper, I'm sure you're gonna come up with all sorts of other puppets that you can make and add, create all sorts of fun stories to tell about your solar system. If you had fun, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe. More videos like this are added every single day. Thanks for joining, guys.